All religions of the past were awaiting the coming of two great beings in the end times. In the Jewish faith, they are awaiting the coming of the Lord of hosts and of Elijah. In Christianity, the return of Christ and Elijah. In the Sunni Islam, the coming of the Mahdi and return of Christ, and so on in other religions. All these prophecies or awaiting for the coming of these two great beings are fulfilled in the coming of Baha'u'llah and the Bab. Baha'u'llah's faith started and appeared in the year 1844, the year that all mentioning all prophecies of religions regarding the return of Christ in Christianity and the end of time. He had appeared in the east. Elam is in the east. He had come from Persia. Elam is the ancient name of Persia. He would be known as the glory of God. Baha'u'llah means glory of God. He will go to the valley of Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. He was exiled from Persia to Israel, and on his way from Persia to Israel, he went by the Tigris River to the Euphrates rivers. He made his public announcement of his mission to the world in a land that was known as the ancient Babylon. Baha'u'llah declared his mission in 1863 in Babylon, the ancient name of Baghdad in Iraq. He was exiled from Babylon to Syria, the land where Abraham had been before him. He was exiled from Babylon, first to Constantinople by the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, and then to Adrianople by Syria. He will go to Israel, the Holy Land, by way of the sea. The last journey of his exile was from the port of Romelia in Alexandria to the port of Akka in Haifa, to the prison in Akka where he was last incarcerated. He will go from fortified cities to fortified cities. During his exile, he went from the fortified city of Constantinople to the fortified city of Akka in Israel. He will go from mountain to mountains. That is from the Kurdistan mountains in Iraq to Mount Carmel in Israel, and from sea to sea, from the Caspian Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the fortress to the rivers, from the fortress in Babylon by the river of the Tigris to the Euphrates rivers. Carmel and Sharon have seen him, the glory of God. When the incarceration of Baha'u'llah in the prison in Akka was relaxed by the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, he was able to walk on the Valley of Sharon known on Mount Carmel. His coming to the Holy Land is by the way of the gate, and that is through the Bab, his forerunner, which means the gate. In the land of Israel, where he will first arrive on Mount Carmel, will be a desert, a barren place, and will later on flourish like a rose. His place of sanctuary and resting place will be beautified. The shrine of the Bab on Carmel, Mount Carmel, and the shrine of the Baha'u'llah in Baju are beautified with gardens of flowers, trees, paths, and lights. The place that he will walk will be glorified. All those places in Akka and Mount Carmel and the Valley of Sharon are all now beautified and glorified. A place of worship, a house of worship for all nations would be raised up on the mountain. The shrine of the Bab on Mount Carmel is where all the pilgrims all over the world come to pray. His law will come down from the mountains. Mount Carmel is where the headquarters of his faith, and where the seat of the universal house of justice, the highest administrative body of the faith, that administer the affairs of the faith from the mountain, which is and ruled by the law, by the rod of his laws, and administer the faith all over the world. The children of Israel will be gathered in Holy Land in his days, before the coming of Baha'u'llah. In fact, by 1844, before that, for a Jew to return to the Holy Land, it was a crime punishable by death. But they were allowed, start returning to the Holy Land in the year 1844, when a treaty was signed called the Edict of Toleration, which basically allowing the Jews to return to the Holy Land. It's during this time that Baha'u'llah was incarcerated in a prison in Akka. He would go to the ancient land of Canaan that God promised to the seed of Abraham. He went to Israel from Persia by his exiled, and which is to Israel the ancient name of Canaan, that God promised to the seed of Abraham. And Baha'u'llah is from the seed of Abraham. He comes from the line of Keturah, the third wife of Abraham. He will topple the kings and rulers from their throne, of the world from their throne. In 1868, Baha'u'llah wrote to all kings and rulers of the world at the time, calling on them to put aside their differences and come together in peace and unity and harmony. Unfortunately, all of them, these rulers, except one, ignore the divine physician's exhortation, except Queen Victoria of England, who wrote favorably to Baha'u'llah. And Baha'u'llah blessed Her Majesty and her kingdom, and it's still the only kingdom that exists today from that era. And we witness it in the crowning of the recently crowning of King Charles III. He will glorify Christ and establish the kingdom of God on earth that Christ promised, that Christ prayed for in his prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And much more. In fact, all the prophecies that mention all the religious texts of all religions, if you examine them in with clear vision and with justice, you will find they were all fulfilled in the coming of His Holiness, the Bab, the Forerunner, and His Holiness Baha'u'llah, the Prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. Thank you, and I wish you well. Whaftailava manuia la whafawhau maimula whasausaunga Samoa, soifua.